Forgiveness isn't what healed me. A fortress did. If you grew up in a church, any church, forgiveness was basically a sacrament. Good Christians forgive. If you don't forgive, God won't forgive you. And when you said you had forgiven someone, there was always someone standing by to ask, then why are you still upset? So you learned to fake it. You said the words before your body was ready. You swallowed the ache so you wouldn't look bitter or broken. And they called that healing. Hi, I'm Melanie, your witchy mother. Today we're talking about what forgiveness actually is, what it isn't, and why some people don't deserve access to your field, even energetically. You're going to walk away with a framework that actually fits your body and a ritual you can do tonight. Here's the thing nobody told us. Forced forgiveness isn't healing, it's performance. When forgiveness is a condition of your own spiritual worthiness, when you're told that you can't move forward until you've forgiven the person who harmed you, that's not a spiritual principle. That is a control tactic, wearing a cross. It keeps you tied to the person who hurt you. It puts their peace before your protection. It asks you to open your field back up to someone who proved they couldn't be trusted inside it, all so you can pass a spiritual purity test. And the women that I work with, the ones who left high control religious systems, have been performing this forgiveness ritual their whole lives. Forgiving fathers who never apologized, forgiving husbands who never stopped, forgiving institutions that protected abusers and called it grace. Their bodies are exhausted from it. Maybe yours is too. Tell me in the comments, were you ever told you had to forgive someone before you were even ready? Did it ever actually feel like healing? Or did it feel like something else? I want to tell you about the moment this cracked open for me. After my second husband, after the courtrooms, the police reports, the unraveling of everything I thought was safe, I found myself sitting alone in a way that felt permanent. Not temporary alone, but structurally alone. The chaos had finally stopped, and there was just silence. And in that silence, I realized something. I would never get an apology big enough to erase what he had done. He was in prison, the damage was done, and I could spend the rest of my life waiting for the closure that was never coming, or I could make a different choice. I could forgive for me. Not in some grand somatic moment. There was no light from heaven, no I release you monologue. It was quiet. It was a decision. I didn't want his shadow dictating my peace anymore. But here's what's important, and this is what the church never taught me and probably didn't teach you. Forgiveness didn't earn him access. I still hold a boundary the size of a fortress. I wish him well from behind a locked door. I hold no rage in my body for him, and I hold no space in my life for him either. Those two things are not in conflict. They never were. Forgiveness is not a door that you open. It's a weight you put down. Your field is your sovereign territory. It's the energetic space you carry with you, your nervous system, your attention, your emotional bandwidth, the frequency you're operating at. Who and what you let in there matters. When we hold active resentment, we're giving that person a lease in our field. They're taking up space. They're influencing our frequency, and they're not even paying rent. That's real, and that's what forgiveness actually addresses. It ends the lease. But ending the lease does not mean reopening the door. Some people you can forgive and still never speak to again. Some people you can wish well and still block on every platform. Some people you can release from your resentment and still refuse to let their energy touch yours, even in prayer, even in a casual thought, even in the act of checking their social media. Energetic access isn't just about physical presence. It's about where your attention goes. Every time you ruminate, every time you check, every time you explain what they did to someone new, you're giving them square footage in your field. Forgiveness, at its most sovereign, is the act of ending their tendency, and then actively not re-renting to them. This is what Beltane is actually about. This time of year isn't forgiveness as release. It's sovereignty as selection. What are you fertile for this season? What do you want to call into your field? You cannot fill a space that's still occupied. Think of one person you've been told you need to forgive. Not the biggest wound. Just start with one. And ask yourself 2 separate questions. Am I still carrying active resentment, such as grief, anger, or longing, in my body around this person? And do I want this person to have access to my field, which is my time, my attention, my energy, my physical space? Notice that those are 2 completely separate questions with 2 completely separate answers. You can answer yes to question 1 without that obligating you to a yes on question 2. You can answer no to question 1 and still answer no to question 2. Tonight, if you're ready for a ritual, light a black candle. Write their name on a piece of paper and say aloud, "I release the weight of you. I do not release the boundary." Burn the paper and let the candle burn down. You're not inviting them back. You are freeing yourself. If you're feeling guilty right now, if some part of you is wondering whether holding a firm boundary means you haven't really forgiven, I want you to hear this. Compassion can mean locking the door and wishing someone well from the other side. You are not required to keep people in your life to prove that you've healed. You are not bitter for having a boundary. You are not unhealed because you won't pretend that nothing happened. Forgiveness is something you do for yourself. It's not something you hand to another person. It does not ever require you to give someone access to your field that they have not earned and do not deserve. If something in this video landed for you, if your body recognized something it's been trying to tell you for a while, I want you to know that there's more here. The Sinner's Grimoire is my free guide, 5 spells for glamour, money, protection, deconditioning, and receiving. You can grab it at the link in the description. And if you've been doing this work for a while, the shadow work, the deconditioning, the somatic stuff, and you still feel like something isn't moving, that's not an issue with your willpower. That's a field problem. And a clarity session is a private session where we find the root. The link to that is also in the description.